Most of us remember what it was like during the COVID-19 lockdown and having to suddenly change our routine to stay at home. But according to mental health experts, it's been especially hard on children who grew up during the lockdown, some experiencing what's called COVID trauma. Hunter Alcacer spoke with PermiaCare to find out more.
For some kids, the lockdown was a complete shift in what was normal for them, and for others, they may not have even known what it was like before the lockdown. But either way, both had the potential to experience COVID trauma, according to PermiaCare.
After COVID happened, everything changed. And what we're seeing now in kids is, we believe, a direct result of having lived through and experienced the chaos that was the lockdown, quarantine, illness, loss, anti-socialization, kind of from a mandated perspective, really.
While the immediate effects of COVID trauma were noticeable at the time and even joked about by society to a degree, Wigginton says that they're beginning to notice the long-lasting effects and what it does to a child's development later in life.
One of the things that they miss out on is problem solving and conflict resolution. So if you get into a disagreement with a friend at school, now you're face to face. Before, it was behind a screen. And I think it's fair to say that we speak differently and we interact differently when there's a screen between us. We might say things we would never say to somebody's face, which is why we saw an increase in cyberbullying, right? And then how do we problem solve? How do we figure out what we need to do to be happy? That's a healthy coping mechanism.
Even if it's years later, Wigginton says it's not too late for families to help their kids catch up on their development, which is part of what she and her people at PermiaCare help families do.
Right? So, of course, some of them are still going to be dealing with repercussions of kids' social development not being matching their age, right? But that doesn't mean there's not hope. We would call it hope for recovery, right? They can recover and they can develop those social skills even now. Even if they sat for 4 or 5 years and did nothing toward getting better, coping better, any of those things.
In Odessa, Hunter Alcacer, News West 9.